Welcome to Invisible Machines, a podcast at the intersection of UX and AI. I'm Josh Tyson, a contributing editor to UX Magazine and co-author of the Wall Street Journal best-selling business book, Age of Invisible Machines. I wrote Age of Invisible Machines along with Robb Wilson. Robb is the CEO and co-founder of OneReach.ai, one of the world's leading conversational AI platforms. Robb and I wrote this book over the course of many Zoom calls. And we knew even as it was being printed that the conversation needed to continue. If ChatGPT has taught us anything in the past few months, it's that disruptions are going to come at a fast and furious rate. So in Invisible Machines, Robb and I are getting back to basics. We're going to hop in a Zoom room, or in this case, a Riverside studio, and talk about conversational AI and hyperautomation. Today we're going to talk about generative AI and how it might actually change the way we think about productivity and our relationship to work. As you'll hear, when I initially queried Robb about this topic, his response was that maybe we needed to rethink our terminology. Maybe artificial intelligence is the wrong way to think about what we're creating here. I don't want to keep us from that conversation any longer, so let's get to it right now. Well, Robb, since it's on everyone's mind, I thought we should talk about generative AI. And is that a creativity killer, or is it going to accelerate creativity as we move forward, kind of in these uncertain waters that we're navigating? I did see a LinkedIn post recently that said something to the effect of AI isn't going to replace you, or AI isn't coming for your job. Someone using AI is coming for your job.
Coming for your job.
Yeah.
Someone's coming for your job. Another person's coming for your job.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay, as long as it's not a machine.
Yeah, that's less scary.
Oh, yeah. What is to make of the fear? First of all, I really think you got to boil it back down to the question of AI being the right term. You know, I mean, it's almost a sci-fi term. Like, it certainly brings emotion and excitement and interest. Artificial intelligence, an artificial human being, artificial brain. Oh my God, we're making humans, we're playing God, blah, blah, blah. Great for movies. But is it true, really, at the end of the day, that's what we're doing? I'd say that most of the folks I know in this space, and know a fair number of them, that's not what they're doing. They're trying to make machines smarter. That's all. So if my skill saw knows the difference between cutting through a 2x4 or a finger, like, that's good. That's good for anyone. How is that bad? And if artificial intelligence is another way of saying machines get smarter, then why do we want dumb machines? Dumb machines are killing people already. Like, cars, skill sets, nuclear weapons, they're already killing people. Machines are one of the top killers of human beings if you lump them together, right? But they're saving far more lives than they're killing, and so it's a tough one. If you just say, look, we're on a continuum, we invented the machine, that happened, there's no going back to pre-machine, right? No one's going to be dialing the clock back to before machines were created and saying, hey, we should think about inventing the first machine, because, like, the catapult, like, how far back do you go, right? So catapult's a machine, it killed people. Machines have been killing us for a long time. Smarter machines, I think, actually might be the solution to the dumb machines today that are killing us. Mm-hmm. Maybe more of a remedy than it is a threat. And that the smarter a machine becomes, the more it protects us. I think we see that when we evolve machines to be smarter, it is for protection. So smarter machines are the way out of the machines that are already killing us. Cars are killing us. Smarter cars, how could that be bad? Same with all of the dangerous factory machinery that can get smarter So, machines serve humans. They always have. It's unlikely that we're going to suddenly change that.
Hmm.
Uh, but having smarter ones and them progressively getting smarter just sounds like the end of machines killing us already.
Well, and yeah, the idea of artificial intelligence not maybe being the best term is interesting because,
Yeah.
yeah, that term kind of suggests that what we should be trying to do is replicate human intelligence, whereas what you're describing is people who are actually trying to use this pragmatically. They're trying to find ways to create better machine intelligence, and that
Yeah.
the machine intelligence has a complementary relationship with human intelligence. They're not meant to be competitive, right? They're meant to kind of function cooperatively.
Yeah. I mean, most of the jobs were designed for humans, so people think that in order for machines to do the jobs of humans, they got to do the jobs like humans would do the job. But that's a phase. Why would it? I mean, it makes more sense that we'll redesign jobs for machines
Hmm.
and not have machines do the job that humans do. Um, and like the inventive, creative humans we are, we will invent new jobs. It's just like the invention of the home espresso machine was the beginning of the barista craze, not the end of it.
Yeah,
It's
it
just,
really set things off.
yeah. So I kind of just think we're like entering the age of a kind of, you know, waiter for every table, not where you have a section of 6 or 8 tables that you gotta manage as a waiter, but now you have one table, one waiter. Like, oh, that's just up leveling the customer service.
Better
Um,
ratios.
yeah. So the idea that companies are going to automate jobs, increase profits, and keep customer service levels the way they are, that makes less sense than understanding that customers and companies are competing now on their level of customer service. So what most companies that succeed will do is they will cut cost of delivering their current service so that they can apply people to providing a higher level of service and competing with the next guy. So they don't have to raise their prices, but they can offer a higher level of customer service, which that's more in line with what consumers are demanding right now. And the companies that cut costs and don't increase the level of customer service will just go out of business. That's pretty simple, I
It's kind
think.
of how it's always been.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I mean,
Hmm.
customer service expectations have gone up, and satisfaction has gone down over the last couple of decades. So we expect a lot more than we're getting. There's a lot of room for improvement in this area. It's more likely that we're going to start closing that gap between what customers expect and what they get than we're going to suddenly just continue delivering the poor quality of customer service that we're delivering just to increase profits. Like I said, those companies will exist, but they'll not for long.
Yeah, and where do you see generative AI fitting into all this? It seems like ChatGPT and applications like Dolly have set off a lot of kind of fear-based thinking about these
Yeah.
technologies. How do you think they really fit in to kind of the
And
future
that
that you
same
see?
spectrum of smarter machines, um, people thought that adding a camera to your iPhone is going to suddenly end the concept of photographers having a career, right? Same thing with baristas. What really happens is people become more appreciative of photography, and you have more human beings that care more about photography and photographic concepts. Some photographers end up becoming bloggers and teachers, right?
Hmm.
Instead of doing the photography for you, they start teaching people how to do photography better because there's an appreciation for photography that is at an all-time high. Uh, and more people taking more photos, more people caring about photos, uh, gives space for experts to evolve what they do and how they fit into that ecosystem. But it doesn't eliminate experts or the need for expertise or creativity. It just changes it. Um, so instead of hiring a photographer to take your picture, an expert photographer teaches you how to take better pictures. Um, Teaching is fun, you know.
Yeah.
Teaching is enjoyable. Interacting with people, it's connecting. We need more connection in the world. So it's unlikely that the same thing with generative AI in terms of imagery. You know, right now, you know, if you want to write a children's book, you have to find an illustrator, typically. Um, But now you can write a children's book and use generative AI as your illustrator. Um, More children's books, more people writing them. More, you know, parents writing books for their kids, kids writing their own books for other kids. It's just more inclusive, in my opinion. And for those illustrators in the world that have a creative talent, there'll be a place for them. There's no question in my mind.
Yeah, in a way, it could allow people who are already very comfortable with their creative powers to push them further, and then allow people who, you know, there are a lot of people who I think don't think that they're creative, and it can help them realize that they are creative. That it's, I mean, creativity, as we've discussed many times, is like a human condition. It's not something you choose.
Yep.
It does seem, though, like generative AI, at least like something like Chat GPT, probably will eliminate a lot of entry-level jobs, maybe, in copywriting, those kind of things. But it's kind of brings up this idea of, does it eliminate a job, or does it make a new starting point for that job?
Yeah, I think it will change what starting a new job might look like. It might advance people a lot further into doing more complex things from the start instead of starting on very rudimentary basic things. But it's more of an accelerator than it's going to, you know, be a replace, because again, jobs are part of our construct, you know, they're social construct, you know. So if companies don't you know, create new ways for people to serve each other, then they'll go out of business. There's always, everything's lying on some basic false assumptions, which is that every job is a necessity and that every company builds stuff we need instead of stuff we want. Like, come on, guys. You know, I had an experience when I was younger where I sat at a long table with a bunch of farmers in Oklahoma. This is when I was doing post-production, and they were all asking me what I do, and I'm used to people being so impressed with working on movies and what actors have you worked with, and I could stop talking to this farmer, and I'm like, here's what I do, and he's like, what's that good for? Just pause. Like, right, you grow food. You feed people. I waste their time for 2 hours, and my measure of success is just the multiplier of how many people times how many hours I've wasted equals success. Is what we do really necessary? We've already invented jobs that don't. You know, we're not in the world of necessity, so we'll just keep. You know, we'll keep doing that. We'll keep going to work because we need to do something with our time, and we'll invent new jobs, and we'll invent new things we don't need and call them things we need.
It's what we do.
It's what we do. We're not going to stop. We're fantastic at it.
So in terms of like the real potential behind things like Chat GPT, it kind of falls on this question that I think we get a fair amount at OneReach.ai, which is like, what's the difference between Chat GPT and OneReach? And obviously the answer to that question is pretty big, because Chat GPT, I mean, kind of as we've been talking about, is a tool, a very powerful tool, but it's kind of untamed. If it's not focused or orchestrated or sequenced, how useful is it?
Yeah. The biggest misunderstanding from my perspective is that people see it as a solution and they evaluate it as a complete solution. Whether they like it or dislike it, I find both sides are evaluating it like it's a complete solution unto itself. And it's not. It's like one tool in a toolbox. And you have to surround it with other things, other solutions, and other tools to make up an actual final solution. So evaluating a hammer with alone and saying, hey, with this hammer you can build a house, you're gonna get some people going, the glass is half full, and going, wow, that's amazing. I could totally build a house with a hammer. It'll be amazing. This is so useful. And then another person will say, it's not enough. It's overhyped. It's just a hammer. And the truth lies in both places, that it's both just a hammer. And that hammer is going to unlock a lot of possibilities, but you still need those other solutions, and you need to weigh them in when you evaluate its power. To me, it's just a simple UI. It's like looking at an interface without it doing anything, like a graphical interface, and saying, how useful is this? Well, it doesn't actually do anything. Then it's not that useful. So think of me at like a car. You want to get in the car and say, take me to work. So you open the door, you sit down, you say, I want to go to work. If all it's capable of doing is saying, good for you, work is good. That's not very useful. And so most people will criticize that. If the thing can actually operate the car and communicate with the car and get the car started and map a path, and then you have something. So really, its ability to understand you is just a small piece of the overall solution. Sympathizing with you on the fact that you want to go to work isn't very useful. So connecting it to all the different pieces of that car, the ability to drive and see, and once you put it in that context, now we're talking. It starts to become useful. So you need to put it in context to evaluate it. Bottom line, all this evaluation we're seeing out of context, it's just some people having more or less imagination than another.
Yeah, and if you could use ChatGPT to have a call center bot provide a customer with a very broad and understandable answer in a way, but it's really not a huge improvement over an IVR or like a phone tree if it doesn't, like if it can tap into that customer data and deliver something a little more personalized, then that's where like you're combining something like ChatGPT with other things too.
Especially if it's not sure, right? If you can't be sure to trust the answer. So if it says, by the way, half of what I say might be wrong, go ahead and ask me a question. Like, great, is my flight delayed? Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. That's useful. Yeah, I think that where it becomes useful is when you tie it into something like the actual software system that manages flight control and has the data to produce a fairly reliable answer on whether your flight's been delayed. So now if GPT is able to go check that system, because that system has a conversational UI as well. That's the big moment. It asks another system that then asks a structured system that then has confidence and can deliver an answer and says, according to the system, there's a 95% chance that that flight will be delayed, or 100% chance that flight will be delayed. Now it relays that information back to the user and says, yeah, your flight's delayed by an hour. Now you have another tool in that toolbox. Now you have a solution. Now you can evaluate it. Was it useful as compared to downloading an app from an airline and then getting an account and then figuring out where in that app is status and then entering the flight number that you forgot because you got to go to the email, find the flight number, then plug it in, then hit submit, then see that the flight's delayed.
Yeah, I mean, by the time you've done all that, the flight's probably not delayed anymore.
Right, right.
So yeah,
or
we
you
can
crash
move
your car because you should be paying attention to the road and not clicking around on your phone to see if your flight's delayed. Yeah.
Yeah, but being able to move those, 20 steps into the background for someone.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's when people will really lose their minds over so-called AI, I guess we'll say.
Yeah. So I think we'll see these things emerge. We'll see more examples of them in context with other solutions. We'll see them replace traditional UIs as we know them, or augment them even better. And people will start to understand why we're all so crazy about this, because so much more scalable than having, 150 apps on your phone and going, wait, which one is who did I book with again? Which app do I got to go to?
Yeah. Well, it's very exciting.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with a new episode of Invisible Machines. Subscribe to UX Magazine wherever you get your podcasts, or check in with us at uxmag.com. You can also follow UX Mag and OneReach.ai on LinkedIn. And if you'd like to watch this podcast, go to the YouTube Invisible Machines channel. Special thanks to UX Magazine and the marketing team at OneReach.ai for all your support with this podcast. I'd also like to thank Michael Litvinov, our video editor, who produced the amazing version that you'll see on the Invisible Machines YouTube channel. Thanks again. We will see you next week.